Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby and I like to talk about spooky things. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 27 true paranormal experiences from the Paranormal Encounters subreddit. As you can see, I am in a more normal studio setup finally. There are still some things that need to be changed, like some lighting fixes, and I hope to have a little poster back here behind me. But I still am having a hard time even walking in this room because I just have that much stuff. So I managed to throw this all together, but there are some improvements that still need to be made. I'm just excited to be kind of in a more normal setup finally. If you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, click the subscribe button down below, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and sometimes Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. Please check out my Instagram and TikTok for special effects makeup content. And without further ado, let's get right on into the video. Our first post is from the user Wrestling is Real. Walked past an abandoned building in Scotland, heard a bunch of banging out back and decided to look. No sign of anyone, and if it was the wind, then why does it stop after another noise inside is heard?
It is a ghost.
It's just a wind.
Wait. Must be a ghost.
No, it's a wind.
No, it's a ghost.
Let's go. It's a fucking ghost.
There's nothing else there. What else could it be?
See? Really?
I told you it was fucking haunted.
I almost don't know what to say about this video because my first thought, and I hate to say it, but my first thought was there's no way that's real. At first I thought maybe it was edited the way it looked, but as he zoomed in, I feel like it has to be a person kicking it in. Like maybe they're just in the inside of the shadows so you can't see them. I hate to be a doubter because I 100% believe in the paranormal. I believe in ghosts and all that kind of stuff. Like I even believe in the possibility of like werewolves and vampires. Like I am not a skeptic by any means. However, I do try and look at individual pieces of evidence with a skeptical eye because I know that there's a lot of fake things out there and things that just aren't paranormal. Like it just is a coincidence, you know, or something else is causing it. So I don't know, like to me for some reason this video just is really hard for me to believe that is actually paranormal activity. And that's not to say that it can't be. I'm sure a ghost is more than capable of doing something like that. Like if we're saying in The Conjuring, like the actual legit Conjuring house, the demonic spirit was able to lift up Carol. Obviously it's possible, it's happened, but I for some reason just really don't feel like that's what's going on in this video. I really feel like maybe it's some kind of an airflow thing, although I think it has to be like really crazy airflow to cause that, or a person inside. Such an interesting and crazy video, but for some reason it's just like, to me, I don't necessarily think that they're intentionally faking it, but I don't think it is paranormal activity. I don't know why I feel like I really don't want to say that about this, but that's just like how I feel. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really interesting though, and it definitely could be, but for some reason I just like have a feeling that it's not. Our next post is from the user jturley85. Possible Skinwalker sighting in Beaver, Utah. My wife's coworker went out hunting this past weekend. They apparently took a pack of dogs out with them. While in the mountains, 2 of the dogs ran off. They chased them and found them both ripped apart after some searching. Good Lord. While trying to look for whatever caused it, they found this and recorded it through their scope. I tried to upscale the video for clarity, but this was the best I could get. Anyone know what this could be? The arms look like they have hair coming off of it, and they look extremely long and skinny. At first I thought it could be another hunter, but after a few, I can't be sure. Thanks in advance. I've literally never seen anything like that in my life. It actually really makes me uncomfortable because I don't know what it is or why it looks the way it does and why it's moving the way it is. I have no explanation for what that creature is, and it actually like physically makes me sick to hear about what happened to those dogs. I love animals, but I obviously have a really soft spot for dogs, so hearing something like that actually physically makes me feel ill. Honestly, like I think it could be a skinwalker, just the way that it looks and the way it's like you can't really make out an exact figure to kind of pinpoint what kind of an animal or if it's a human or what it is. It just feels like it's kind of shape-shifting and it has no real substance to it throughout the whole video. I really feel that it could be a skinwalker. Our next post from the user SageMan123. My buddy took these videos after moving into a new house. He already moved.
Jackson is like laser ass focused on this right now. He won't like, you alright? Mm-hmm. I know. I think something's wrong. I don't know. I hear noises, but I'm not even sure. Are you fucking kidding me right now? There is no way that just happened. There is no way that just happened. There is no way. What's wrong with you? What's wrong? Jackson. Jackson. What's wrong? There's banging and stuff. The fuck?
As always, I'm skeptical about the legitimacy of these videos. There are a bajillion easy ways that you could fake both of these things. However, if they are real, I think it is fascinating that he was able to catch these on camera. I think if anything, the door closing is kind of a more believable thing. The food item flying off the shelf is a little bit extreme. But again, like these things are all possible and it happens. I also think it's interesting that it's not the actual person who filmed these videos that's posting it. That kind of makes me believe this a little bit more, that it's like his friend is posting this on his behalf because he didn't care enough to. It makes me feel like it's less for attention and it happened and he's sending it to a friend to be like, oh my god, can you believe this? In addition to the part where it says he already moved, if that is in fact true, that is crazy, and I would love to know more about how the activity probably, I would assume, got worse to the point where he decided to move already. But that's all we have for this post. It's just these two little videos in the very short description, and there is no follow-up. So let me know your thoughts from the information you are given. Our next post is from the user OutrageousFlight77. This photo was taken in 2013. I'm still dumbfounded by it. For context, my twin sister committed suicide at 15 years old in 2012. I took this photo shortly after I got my first smartphone. Naturally, I played around with my camera settings and took some flash photos with my dog with the sepia setting on. I didn't notice the background imagery until weeks later. The face in the image looks a lot like my sister, but looks like she's crying, and the triangle design along with the orbs are so fascinating to me. It has disturbed me for years. Honestly, the triangle design to me kind of looks like the Illuminati triangle. Just like the little details in it kind of looks like it's almost an eye, which is really weird to see. But it's also interesting. Obviously, I have no idea what his sister looks like at all. So if he's saying that that looks like a sister, then it looks like a sister. So I think it's really interesting that she appears in the background of this photo. I would assume she's probably still hanging around the house and staying close to her family. So to me, it makes perfect sense. But it would just be so... I don't know, like, I guess it's like, it's nice that you see evidence of someone visiting you, but also it catches you off guard, so it's kind of freaky because you're not expecting it. And, you know, when there's an unknown, or even if it's known but unexpected face in the background of your photos, it is a little disconcerting at first. I don't know, I think it's nice that she popped in for a visit, but definitely would catch me off guard. Our next post is from the user Wahova's Jitness. I think that's hilarious. My family went on a hike, but someone or something else showed up in her photo. Hey everyone, a few years ago, an older family member of mine went on one of her regular hikes. The trail she takes runs through a fairly remote area on the side of a mountain with no buildings nearby and very few people ever around. One of the places along the path is an old cave with a long history, stretching all the way back to the Stone Age, Ice Age, and Viking times. I've been there myself. It's definitely an interesting area. She took some photos and later posted a few of them on Facebook, as older people tend to do. Everything seemed normal at first, but then people started commenting on one of the photos, asking who she was walking with, but she insisted that she had been completely alone. She looked at the photo again, and that's when she noticed it, a figure in the distance. There was no one else out there that she noticed, and she hadn't seen or heard anything unusual. She was honestly really shaken by it. She's not someone who believes in the paranormal, and definitely not someone who would ever fake a photo. She has absolutely no interest in that kind of thing, and to be honest, she's far too old and inexperienced with technology to know how to Photoshop something like that, even if she wanted to. If you don't immediately see what I'm referring to, check the second image. It's a little clearer there. I've posted this on Reddit before in other subs, but never got a solid explanation. Still, the photo has stuck with me for years. I think about it now and then because it really puzzles me. Would love to hear what others think, whether there's a rational explanation or not. Honestly, it looks kind of creepy. It could just be because it's like grainy and zoomed in, but that lady's face looks a little off. I think it's a really odd coincidence that she happens to be looking at the camera. Like if it is a real person that she just somehow did not notice was out there, it's really weird that she happened to be looking at the camera at the time the photo was taken. However, if it's not a person, honestly, I think if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you'd notice if there's another person out there. Fairly obvious when, like, someone disturbs the peace of nature because they're like there. So I don't know, it's very weird to me that she did not see this person in real life and claims that she was completely alone. I wonder if it's like maybe someone who got lost out there or something and unfortunately like didn't make it and that's like their spirit still wandering. Or on the scarier side of things, it could be a skinwalker and was like trying to lure her in if she saw it. I don't know, like there's so many options and so many explanations. It could be a person that somehow she missed, but it also could be, you know, again, a spirit of someone who passed on the trail or something more nefarious. I feel like the options for this one are endless, so let me know what your personal opinion is. Our next post is from the user EfficientMain2197. 2 encounters in kids' room caught on Google Cams I can't explain. This happened months apart. The second video is more worrisome to me as it just happened. The first one, I originally chalked it up to fluff or a bug, but it literally just pops up out of nowhere. When I slow it down, it doesn't look like a bug, and there's a shadow that follows it. I'm not sure how to show that. Am I freaking out for nothing? What should I do? I don't know. I feel like I frequently am like assuming it's dust or something, but it's just so weird how it's like, I don't know, the shape is odd to me. It's not like a circle, like a piece of dust, or even like a square or something. It's like it has a chunk taken out of it. Like, I don't know. I guess dust could look like that, but it's just so weird to me that both of them are kind of like the same odd shape. I also think especially the way the second one moves is so strange to me, the way it kind of just like goes like that. I don't know, I guess maybe dust could do that. Probably. I don't see why not. It is really weird. I definitely think I'd be a little alarmed if I saw that, but it's like there's no reason for me to assume that it's something like nefarious and she should be concerned, but it's just like it is weird and I'd be a little like, what is that, you know? I don't know. I think it's interesting. It could be dust, could be a ghost. Our next post from the user SpleenWizard42_0. My dad walking down death row at the Missouri State Penitentiary. In the first picture, you can see a figure on top of the stairs behind my dad. The second picture is the spookiest as that chick was never there. It was just my parents. The third picture, you can kind of see the woman right behind my dad, and when the pictures were taken, he said his legs randomly gave out near the end of the walk, which you can kind of see in the video. Censored my dad's face for privacy reasons. Okay, I do think it's weird in the first picture how many like dots there are all around. It's almost like as if they are orbs. But the second picture is what really intrigues me, because if you zoom in, there's a lady behind him, but it says that there was no one behind him. There's a lady behind him. Even in the third picture, you can kind of see, and again, I will pop a zoomed in picture on the screen. You can kind of see like something on the side of his head. It doesn't necessarily like look like a person. I probably wouldn't notice it if I hadn't seen the previous picture where there was a person behind him, but it looks like it could be the same thing. I don't know. I think it's a really interesting catch. I personally love photos, specifically photos that are just like taken in haunted places and you get like little apparitions behind you or orbs. My favorite thing to look at. So I really love these. I think they're a great catch and I love number 2 specifically. I think that is phenomenal evidence. Our next post is from the user AgreeableKey2750. What is that sitting on my swing at 3 a.m.? I saw this in my Blink camera, compared it with other situations when the swing was filmed. Nothing. Can you explain this? don't know, to me I feel like it's just kind of like a light flashing somehow. I don't know where this swing is in comparison to a street or a place where there might be pedestrians or lights of any kind. But to me, it just looks like there's a weird kind of like light thing. I don't know like if that could be something that's explained away, if it's possible. Like if he's in the middle of nowhere, obviously why would there be lights, you know? But if like he's off of a busy street, could be some like person parked with their hazards on or something like that. I don't think immediately I can say that this is paranormal. I think that there are too many other explanations for this. However, it is strange, especially if he's never noticed this before, and it makes me wonder why specifically he did notice this. Like, does he always just stare at his camera randomly and he's never seen this before and it just popped up while he was staring at his camera? Or was there some kind of a notification that made him check the camera, and other times he's checked it, he hasn't seen that before? I don't know. I'd love more details about the situation so I could kind of rule things out, but there isn't much context to this. So I don't know. Personally, I think it could be a light, but honestly, without any more context, it's kind of hard to say one way or the other. Our next post from the user, I hate orange juice. My husband's friend took this picture at Waverly Hills. I would love to go to Waverly Hills. It is such an interesting place to me. Honestly, I feel like it looks kind of like a couple kids just like walking together in a line. Like you can clear as day see 3 feet there and 2 of them attached to legs attached to a body. Like it is an entire shadow figure. That is such a great catch. I'm amazed. I'm amazed, that's all I could say. I think this is a great find. Our next post is from the user Overall Cry 2968. Weird sounds in my home when I'm not home. Hey y'all, this is my first post in this sub. I'm out on a date at the moment at the bar in my hometown. I have a camera at home to keep tabs on my dog Lucy Poo and cat Indica, aka Indy. His birthday is on 4/20. No one is home and the camera is in the dining room of my apartment. I got a notification of movement, which is normal because of my animals. But when I checked, I heard this voice. I'm not sure what it is saying, but I'm definitely spooked out and don't want to go home. My neighbors are also very hard to hear, so I'm not sure what this is. Any ideas? Please help. Not home.
Transfer for general. No.
Okay, this is really weird. It's not just like a random, like little stereotypical like ghost voice or something like that. It like, for some reason I'm hearing someone talk about transferring to Venmo and something about Jasper. I don't know, like it honestly sounds like it's some kind of like, you could hear neighbors outside, which I know she said that you can't hear the neighbors, but I don't know what else it could be unless it's some kind of like signal interference, like someone either hacked the camera, which is not good, or if it's like, I don't know, like can cameras connect to radio somehow and that's what they're hearing? I don't know. Like it, to me it sounds like it's like a legit conversation between someone and not like some weird ghosty babbly nonsense. It could be, but why would a ghost be talking about transferring to Venmo? I think it's like some kind of electronic glitch maybe, or people outside. Our next post is from the user Flimsy Procedure 2370. Another version of my husband presented himself in front of me. I, female, 23, was 8 months pregnant at the time. I decided to go and have a 2-hour nap with my husband and set a 2-hour alarm. After setting the alarm, I went to sleep. I then woke up to the sound of the alarm as 2 hours had passed by. As I tried to turn the alarm off after grabbing my phone, I looked up and saw a version of my husband standing in front of me who had long braided hair. My husband doesn't have braids. He was sweating, seemed like he was freezing, and his body was cold. He had no shirt on, and I could see the sweat dripping off his chest. He stared at me with a very cold, evil look and was very close to my face. I blinked multiple times because I was in disbelief and thought I was dreaming. I pinched myself. I tried to put my hand through objects because I thought I had died or was astral projecting or something. Eventually, I looked behind me where my husband was sleeping and saw that my husband was sleeping peacefully, so I came to the realization that the other version of my husband wasn't really him. I tried to wake up my husband. He's an extremely light sleeper. I shook him several times, screamed his name. I tried all sorts of extreme measures to wake him up, and he wouldn't wake up. Eventually, when I looked back at the other version of him, he disappeared, and then he woke up. I told him I tried to wake him up, and he was in disbelief. What concerned me the most is that my husband wakes up with the slightest of touch or sounds. I really wonder what this was. I still can't understand what this was. It was honestly the scariest moment of my life. I didn't really believe in ghosts or the paranormal that much before this happened. But it was like a different version of him, so that's kind of weird. But maybe it was like when you're like, you astral project, or just like you're sleeping and like you kind of come out of your body and see yourself sleeping, but somehow she experienced it instead of him. That is my only explanation. Or maybe somehow it was like he kind of jumped over to another universe while he was sleeping, and that's why she couldn't wake him up, and then like swapped places. Like that's very like woo-woo and extreme, but like I don't know. I'm just trying to think of any explanation, and I feel like this isn't something you typically hear about, so it's hard to come up with a logical explanation for it. Please let me know what you think, because I think this one is especially interesting. Our next post is from the user Leonard Blaze. Help, what is this noise? It's currently 3 a.m. and I just heard this noise like 20 times outside. Honestly, I think it's an animal. At my old apartment, like my first ever apartment back in 2021, I would hear like really weird noises outside, and I'm fairly certain it was like some kind of weird bird or something. I feel like animals just sometimes make weird noises, like outside of like the stereotypical animal noises that you're taught. Personally, that's what I think it is. Our next post is from the user Deleted. This one time in Iraq. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and I've been to Iraq with a transportation unit. My job there was to monitor our convoys while they were outside the wire. One night, I went outside for a cigarette. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary until I went around the corner of the TOC, Tactical Operations Center. I was met with the strongest sense of anger. I was alone, but there was this wall of pure anger like I'd never sensed before or since. I looked around the T-walls thinking maybe someone was there, my weapon at the low, ready, because of war zone. No one was there, but the sense of anger was stronger. I thought to myself, this must be a really angry spirit. I lit my cigarette and took a long drag to calm my nerves, because at this point I was a bit scared. I steadied my voice and calmly said, at ease. The person who did this to you is no longer here, and immediately the thickness and anger left. I don't know, honestly to me it really just sounds like it was a lost spirit that was still stuck there and had the anger from whatever happened to it. And I think him kind of like saying like, hey, this person's no longer here, really helped that spirit kind of move on and go to another place, hopefully a better place. Our next post is from the user Tkin No Head. A strange ping sound and distorted video. I didn't edit this video. Not sure what this was, but I've never seen this happen on my phone before.
Becca. Look at this. It's like getting weird. Hold on. See that? No. You're missing it.
For some reason, my first thought immediately goes to aliens. Obviously, electronics malfunction. Sometimes there are weird noises that come from nowhere that you can't explain, but like have an explanation. I feel like this can be explained away, but for some reason I'm leaning towards aliens. Classic electronic interference and like a weird pinging kind of spacey noise. I feel like there are two very clear options, just coincidence, weird noise, plus electronic malfunctioning at the same time, or aliens. Let me know which one you're leaning towards. I'm gonna go with aliens just for funsies on this one. Our next post is from the user Rise Delicious. Sarcasm beyond the grave. My husband died last May. For several months afterwards, TVs and sound systems would randomly turn on and off. Once the song that I wanted to play for our wedding came on. I've been mad at him on and off and haven't felt his energy for a while. Grief is complicated. There haven't been any electronic episodes since early March. His birthday is today. I'm not taking it well. I've said aloud so many times that I've lost count that I don't understand why he's not here. I'm watching TV when Alexa makes an announcement. Here's something I found. I look at the Echo Show and it reads, morality. Smartass. I definitely feel like he was checking in. I mean, I say this so many times, but our family members are always around us and they're always watching over us even if we're not aware. But it's always great when you get that little confirmation that they're there when you need it the most. Our next post is from the user DoBluebird4159. Photo taken in 2019 in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. This photo was taken in 2019 at a restaurant in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Thoughts? It looks like a founding father of some sort. It really genuinely does. It looks like a ghost of a founding father. Like the hair specifically, and it looks like there's a hat that's just like cut off that you can't see. Logical explanation wise, it could just be someone walking by that the camera like weirdly caught and didn't quite capture properly. Or it could be like a founding father or someone from that era. I definitely I could picture him like on a horse, like just like riding through the streets back in the day. I'm gonna lean towards this is a ghost caught on camera. Our next post is from the user Straight Reality 23. Rocking chair visitor? What's everyone think? This is a very heavy rocking chair. There was no wind or storms that night. Looks like something is getting up the way the chair leaned forward, or maybe I'm crazy and need to go to sleep. One thing I noticed specifically is the trees you can see in the background don't appear to be moving at all. So it doesn't seem like there's any wind, like she said. And she's right, it does look like it's leaning forward enough for someone to get up, and then it's just like that residual little rock afterwards when the chair is empty. I don't know, I think it's really interesting. It literally looks like someone is getting up from the chair. I think this is a really awesome catch. Honestly, because there's no wind in the trees, I really don't know how else to explain it unless there's just some kind of an animal that touched it and it's moving and you can't see it. It would have to be the left back part of the chair, if an animal pushed it or something and then skittered off. That is the only other explanation I can think of, so I think this is really great. Our next post is from the user IT Professional 1. Saw it while hiking with dog. I think if I were there in person, I'd probably panic a little bit and definitely would think it's some kind of paranormal thing. And I don't know, I'd be a little scared if it happened in person, but from the perspective of seeing it on a video and thinking logically because you're not there in the moment, I definitely think it was probably a situation of kind of disturbing the ground because you're walking up and then maybe wind and it created a little dust tornado inside of there. I definitely don't think it's anything paranormal, but I think it's kind of a weird coincidence maybe, and in the moment for sure I could see how it would be scary and or come across as like a ghostly coincidence, but I do think it is something that can be explained away. Our next post is from the user Beyond Campfire. Was this a ghost? I recently went to St. Augustine on vacation. I decided to do one of the investigating ghost tours. Little did I know I was the only person on this tour besides the tour guide. We got a lot of stuff, some of which I may share as I comb more through footage. Anyways, the video below is of a flashlight rolling off a table. Yes, it's one of the flashlights you have to touch to turn on. We tried to recreate what was happening at the moment that could have made it move. Nothing did. It remained on the table the rest of the night. What are y'all's thoughts?
Can that happen? Can that happen?
I don't know. I really have no other thought except it's a ghost. I mean, to me, it honestly has to be. I feel like it makes the most sense. You're on a ghost investigation. It's one of those flashlights that you're encouraging them to touch and mess with. It makes perfect sense to me that it would roll off the table. Our next post is from the user Odd Replacement 4771. Estate sale. Hey everyone, this is my first encounter with anything paranormal. Me and my mom stopped at an estate sale while going out to yard sales. As we walked in the house, there were these beautiful Chinese or Japanese dolls on display, and as we kept looking, there was a lot of stuff from outside the States. Immediately, we knew somebody had passed away. The people who were selling the stuff didn't seem like they were related to whoever passed. It seemed like they were hired by the family. Anyway, as we were looking at the glass cabinet, we decided to head down the hall into one of the rooms. There were 2 rooms down the hall to the right and one directly at the end. There was somebody looking at one of the rooms on the right, so we decided to go down the hall. When we walked in, it was a very small room with nothing but a small table with dolls and the picture, a big Jesus painting in the window, and a few clothes hanging from the closet door. The room was very small, and as soon as I stepped into the room, it felt like somebody was behind me. So I turned around thinking maybe it was the person down the hall walking in. Nobody was there. As we stayed in that room, it felt like somebody was moving my hair and breathing down my neck. It was very eerie, and we didn't dare touch anything in that room. We walked out and entered the room to the right, which obviously the room the owner stayed in. Looking at the clothes, it was definitely an older couple, and the husband had to have been in the service, assuming he was one of the ones who had bought her beautiful Japanese dolls. There was a wedding dress hanging up in the closet with a bedazzled cowgirl hat, and a uniform and a hat for a man. When we walked into that room, my heart started to hurt. It felt like the old couple had died together and recently, and I can't explain how I felt that. I looked over at my mom and she asked if I was ready. I said yes, and as we were walking out the small house, my mom started crying hysterically and couldn't even drive away. She said she couldn't help but imagine that it was her who had passed away. Then she felt a feeling in her chest and somebody in her ear telling her that it's their stuff, that they weren't ready to give it away and move on. This happened about a month ago or less, and I honestly haven't stopped thinking about it. This is my first time posting anything in the sub. Please forgive me if this isn't the right place to share my experience. I think they're both very, very in tune with the other side. And it makes me really sad to know this couple isn't ready for other people to be taking their stuff yet. Obviously, it's like, what are you going to do? Like, you know, they're not here anymore. It's not like they can stand in the doorway and say no. So it's so sad that like I don't know, maybe they weren't ready to pass yet and they weren't ready to leave this plane of existence, and they're sad to see all their stuff go. Yeah, I really think that this girl and her mom have some kind of like psychic or medium abilities, and they're just more in tune with the other side. And I think that is a beautiful gift to have. But again, it's so, so sad that it felt like these 2 people just weren't quite ready to move on yet. Our next post is from the user Impossible Unknown 40. A haunting that I investigated and got down to the gritty truth. We're posting here from another sub because I really need to stress this to people. Hi, I hope everyone's week is going well so far. I've gotten approval to share this post. I'm a paranormal investigator. I'll also be the first one to tell you that I am skeptical of most claims. That being said, I do believe in the paranormal. I just analyze the facts before I draw any type of theory or conclusion. I was asked by a friend if I could look into something that was going on in her girlfriend's sister's house, as they were having some strange experiences that seemed to be escalating. I agreed to a visit. They told me what was going on. It was strange, that's for sure. I'll admit that. Definitely cause for some alarm. They had been in the house for a few weeks. It was the husband's grandfather's house that he had inherited. Neither of them had lived there prior. So the two of them had both woken up at different points in the night over the course of a few nights. Both claimed that they were in different clothes than when they went to sleep. Like she woke up in her work scrubs once, and he had apparently woken up completely unclothed, and neither were in the same room that they slept in. They had to throw all of their food out of their fridge once due to waking up and finding it open. The wife was feeling off for a couple of days and would spend most of her time in bed. On one of those days, she fell asleep at 2 in the afternoon and didn't wake up until noon the next day. Her husband said that she only got up for bathroom breaks, which she didn't even remember. The husband was getting headaches randomly while in this house, but in specific rooms, one of the rooms in particular was the room that his grandfather had passed away in. He figured that they were dealing with a haunting and called a local priest to bless the home. This didn't do much good. Things kept happening, and it seemed to be getting creepier. One night, the wife went into the bathroom, and as she was washing makeup off her face, she claims that her reflection was acting bizarre. Her face wasn't hers. Her actions weren't matching up in the mirror to what she was doing, and before leaving the bathroom, she saw a figure standing behind her reflection in the mirror. They both made plans to move back into their apartment. The hassle didn't seem worth it, and they both reported feeling fine whenever they weren't in the home. After the reflection incident, they both apparently heard a woman's voice in the late hours of the night, and in the room that was to be their child's room, heard a woman crying. They believed the blessing they had on the house ended up antagonizing the spirit inside, and were officially at a loss. So this is where I come in. I was in the house for about 10 minutes before I found what was likely the root cause of most of the problems. So on the bottom floor, specifically in the living room, the windows were double windowed. This was also the room that the grandfather passed away in. From what I could tell, the windows hadn't been opened up in a really long time. Really caked up. I went to scrape some glue or lament from the sill, which led me to believe that these windows were never designed to be open to begin with. I told them that this was likely carbon monoxide poisoning, that they hadn't been getting enough ventilation. I keep a carbon monoxide detector in my car for these kind of home investigations. Sure enough, it went off after I plugged it in. These things aren't expensive and you could buy them at most hardware stores. Regardless, you should always have one anyway. I let them keep it. I still looked around the house but didn't get any EMF or EVPs. I did get EMFs, but nothing that wasn't explainable with a quick look at the surroundings. The reflection bit, which was probably the creepiest when I heard it, was likely a result of the Caputo effect. I noticed a candle in her bathroom on the sink. I'm pretty sure she was just hallucinating, and with the carbon monoxide had been staring at herself in the mirror for longer than she'd actually remembered, which triggered the distorted reflection. I believe that they were collaborating on the story while in their poisoned state, which is why they both believed it was a haunting. They had missed and didn't remember the parts where they were doing everything and attributed to otherworldly involvement. I love a good ghost story, but I also love deductive reasoning and counter. This should be a cautionary account. Make sure to stay vigilant with things like this. Sometimes there are also things that can be very easily explained. Then there are things that just can't be explained at all. I wrote this on and off for a couple hours, so let me know if you need clarification on anything. Also, I hope you have the most amazing rest of your week. Much love and big hugs. Wow, so this is the opposite of a paranormal experience. This isn't really what my channel's for, but I guess while we're here, yeah, please make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector in your home. Wow, didn't know I'd be a safety officer today. But yeah, please make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector in your home. Obviously, if it can cause all of these things and you have no idea, other than the crazy things that are happening, there's no signs of carbon monoxide poisoning. And most of the time, that's not really people's first thought. I think if you're familiar with Reddit and stuff, it might have been on No Sleep. That also could be completely wrong. But there was a bunch of Reddit posts from one specific user who thought his apartment was haunted or that someone was breaking in, and it turned out it was just him and he had carbon monoxide poisoning. Crazy. So this is very similar because obviously it's a very similar experience every time. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, stuff like this to me is scarier than paranormal. I think it's just because my biggest fear is dying, maybe, because obviously that's the next step after hallucinating and stuff is you might not make it. But this is like really terrifying to me. I know for a fact that all of my like smoke alarms in this apartment and all my previous apartments have also been carbon monoxide detectors, just based on like local laws and stuff. But I also have my own personal one that I have fitted with a backup battery and plugged into an outlet because I'd rather be safe than sorry. So yeah, I didn't know the video was going to go this route, but while we're here, make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector in your home, please. Safety first. Took a weird turn. Our next post is by the user Jetaspol. I saw something when I was 9. It was not human. It was summer 2009. My family and I went to my uncle's house for a family dinner. It was my grandma's birthday. It was maybe 1700 or 1800, so it was like 5 or 6 p.m. My cousins and I were playing in the garden, hide and seek, and it was my turn to hide. My uncle had this big old tree, and right to its side he had like some type of small shed where he kept tools and garden equipment inside cardboard boxes. It was the perfect place to hide, so I went inside and surrounded myself with boxes and tools. I stood there for like 5 minutes just waiting. I could see the shed door from a small aperture between the boxes that surrounded me, and while I was looking, I saw a guy coming inside, like a complete stranger. He was wearing a very weird black outfit. His shirt was very small, and it looked as if it could tear apart just by his movement. He entered the shed, started sniffing the boxes, and moving his head to the side. I swear his movements were so strange and unnatural. It was like looking into one of those weird AI-generated videos, and I knew he knew I was there, but he didn't look at me. He looked at every single angle of the shed, but avoided making eye contact with my eyes. He just entered for 10 seconds, sniffed everything, and then left. Right after he left, one of my cousins entered the shed. I never saw him again. Some people think that maybe it was some kind of a hallucination. Sometimes kids see things that are not there, but I remember 100% seeing him move a box, and then when I left the shed, the box was positioned in the same way. Okay, sniffing things is really weird and random. Maybe it was a skinwalker. It's probably a stretch, but it's so weird. Like, the sniffing is what throws me off. Like, it's not just a weird random paranormal potentially encounter. It's like, why are you sniffing things in a shed? Doesn't sound very human to me, though. Our next post is from the user Tiger2380. Little green men. Have you ever encountered little green men? Here's my story. It was sometime in the 1980s, and I was around 10 years old when I spent the night at my grandparents' house with my brother. We were sleeping in the guest room, which was across to my grandparents' bedroom. I could see their closed door from where I lay in bed, while our own door was open. I woke up in the middle of the night, though I have no idea what time it was. The bed we were in was pushed against the wall. My brother was sleeping soundly on the side closest to the wall, and I was on the outer edge. As I lay there, my eyes caught some movement in the floor. Slowly, I turned my head to get a better look, and that's when I saw them. Little green men scurrying about. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I cautiously turned my head towards my brother, but he was fast asleep, completely oblivious. Turning back to the floor, I continued to watch these strange little figures trying to make sense of what was happening. Then suddenly, one of the little green men climbed into the bed. I froze, completely unable to move. I'm not sure if it was pure fear or something else, but I was paralyzed. Our bed was a queen size, and there was a good amount of space between my brother and me. It wasn't easy just to kick him or nudge him awake. As I lay there, trapped and unable to move, I watched the little man on the bed as if he were searching for something. I glanced up at my grandparents' closed bedroom door, silently wishing someone would wake up and go to the bathroom or something, but no one did. In desperation, I squeezed my eyes shut as tightly as I could. The next thing I knew, it was morning. Relief washed over me as I sat up in bed. I tried to convince myself that it had all been just a dream, but deep down I knew it hadn't been. The experience felt overwhelmingly real. Update. It's been a long time since I've recounted this. After sharing it here, I talked about it with my siblings. Since then, we've also lost both of our grandparents. Grandma in the late 90s, Granddad 7 years ago. The truly astonishing part is that my sister today shared something Granddad told her before he passed. He also had encounters with little green men at night. This revelation absolutely confirms to me what I experienced was real. I don't recall ever telling him about my own sighting. Update 2. My brother just told me Granddad said they used to jump on him at night while he was trying to sleep. I wonder if they're like mini aliens or like leprechauns. I'm picturing like the little green soldiers in Toy Story. That's like what I'm envisioning, but like with alien heads. And in a comment he wrote to someone else, he said that they were glowing. and had clothes on, which I personally think is adorable. It seems like they're completely harmless, so I don't know. I think they're super cute in my opinion, or at least in my mental vision of them. I think they sound adorable. So like I love reading these stories because like I've never heard of this before. Of all of the things that I've read about and seen pictures of and videos of, and like all of my years of being interested in this stuff, I've never heard a story about little green glowing men walking around at night. Like, there's just so many things, and like, what is it? I don't know. There's infinite possibilities in this world, truly. Our next post is by the user AggressiveCar5506. I am genuinely terrified. About 10 minutes ago, I was asleep and I woke up and the mattress creaked like someone had sat on it. It woke me up seconds before it had even happened. After that, I opened my eyes and my heart dropped so rapidly and hard. Seconds after, my vision went weird and my ears went black, and I had this god-awful loud ringing sound in both of my ears. I have actually never been so scared in my life. Can someone educated in this kind of thing tell me if it could be paranormal in any way? It could be. This kind of reminds me, when I was a kid, I don't know why I thought it was like monkeys, like evil monkeys under my bed. I don't know where I got that from. But I frequently would wake up in the middle of the night and it would feel like someone was both jumping on my bed and pushing on it from like below. It's like it would start to happen right before I would wake up, and I'd wake up and my bed would be like bouncing and I'd be kind of like bouncing in my bed. I think now logically I must have like somehow like had a dream that caused me to like bounce myself in bed, and then like I just wake up and would think it was these evil monkeys apparently. I don't know why, because I've never been scared of monkeys or anything. Like, it would always scare me to death. Like, I would wake up and I'd be like, oh my god, like the evil monkey's under my bed again. I don't know why I would think that. But this reminds me of that. So, like, maybe there is some truth to, like, evil monkeys, like, moving children's beds, or, like, I don't know how old this person is, maybe a teenager. And maybe either that, or if that's not the case, which is probably not, I highly doubt it. I really think maybe it's some weird thing, like, you're half asleep and you like kind of when you start to fall asleep and you feel like you're falling and then wake yourself up. If maybe it's something like that you're asleep and you like somehow have a reaction, like bounce, and then you like wake up and it feels like something. I don't know. I think they probably somehow did this themselves and like aren't realizing it, like how I probably most likely did, and it wasn't evil monkeys. I don't know. Could be paranormal. It could just be some weird like reflex thing. Our next post is from the user Dante Sexum. I don't expect anyone to believe this, but this is a weird experience I had when I was about 10 or 11. I'm still 50-50 on ghosts or the paranormal, but I have had a couple experiences I can't explain. One in particular has always frightened me when I look back at it. I live in Utah and we have Mormon churches literally on every block in every neighborhood. A lot of my friends growing up and to this day are Mormon. I used to go to this thing called Young Men's. It's essentially Boy Scouts with my best friend who lived directly next door. This was like a once a week or twice a week activity, and although I grew up in Salt Lake City, my family wasn't Mormon, but my friend was my best friend in the world and we did everything together. So I tagged along sometimes. It was just a rotation of weird Mormon adults who taught us stuff and we'd do random activities. I believe I was about 10 or 11 when I would go to these with him. One time in particular, it was a big gathering of some of these families involved in that Young Men's group. Essentially, it was just a big barbecue on one side of the church. The event was mostly outside, with some activities in the church. The other half was not in use, and it was pitch black over there. There were a lot of people, and the lines for the bathrooms were super long, so I ventured over to the pitch black part of the church to use those bathrooms. I can't remember exactly what time it was, but it was starting to get a little dark outside. The side of the church I ventured over to was pretty much pitch black. There was enough light outside the glass doors that exit outside near the bathroom that I could just see enough to get to the bathroom. I remember just getting this extremely eerie feeling in the bathroom while I was pooping. Didn't think much of it though. I've always been an anxious person. After I use the bathroom, I exit and go to use the drinking fountain right outside the bathroom. As I bent down to drink, I then get this overwhelming feeling of terror that something was wrong. I turn around and there is a pitch black hallway. I see this little kid who is pale, has cuts on him, and his clothes are dirty and tattered. I vividly remember that pale face with cuts all over his body and tattered, dirty clothes. He walks up to me, almost giggling, and my first instinct was to ask, "Are you okay?" The kid looks at me again, giggles. He walks out those glass doors leading outside. Those glass doors were leading to the opposite direction of where the party was, to the other parking lot that didn't have any cars parked in it. I think I was just standing there in pure terror and then ran back to the party. Didn't say anything to anyone, but was just looking for that kid almost frantically. Never saw him at the party. I I remember just being like shaken to my core for the rest of the night and couldn't sleep. I don't think I told my friends or my family about what I saw because I knew they would think I was just full of it. I really don't talk much about it because if someone had told me the story, I would not believe them and I would think they are full of it. I also don't expect anyone to ever believe what I saw and don't ever try to convince people because it was such a weird experience, but I don't know what that was. Just wanted to share whatever weird thing / experience that was that still shakes me to my core when I think about it. Part of me worries that maybe it was like an evil spirit pretending to be a kid and trying to lure him out there, and it's a good thing that he didn't follow it because I really feel like that's the case. Our next post is by the user Eject7. Something I would like to share. Something I think about from time to time. When I was 16, I would sometimes pick up my 9-year-old brother from school. One day around 3:15 p.m., we took our normal shortcut home through a dirt track. If you're familiar with a Maddington and Perth, you'd know the kind of tracks I'm talking about. Barren scrubland, sand hills, and dry bush, with suburban areas still visible around us. It was a hot day, and as we walked, I noticed someone ahead of us. They were tall and wearing a long, dark coat, which felt weird given it was hot. At first, I didn't think much of it, but as we got closer, something about them just felt off. They stopped walking and stared at us. It made us stop too. For a moment, everything was still. Then without warning, they crouched down. Suddenly, their bodies seemed to extend upwards, springing into the air and growing unnaturally tall. Well over 7'5". My brother and I froze in shock. We watched as they repeated this unsettling movement again and again, their body elongating and springing higher into the air in a way that didn't seem humanly possible. Finally, they crouched one last time and vanished from sight, as if sinking into the ground. Terrified, I grabbed my brother's hand and we started running. Just as we were about to exit the track, we looked toward a nearby junkyard about 40 meters away. There it was again, this time springing up and down on the tops of the wrecked cars, moving unnaturally fast. We didn't stop to watch. I practically dragged my brother as I legged the rest of the way home, and once inside, we locked all the doors and tried to catch our breath and just take in what we just saw. To this day, my brother and I remember this event, especially me, right down to the smallest detail. I still wonder, what did we witness that day? Definitely some kind of a shapeshifter. If in fact this did happen and is true, it's for sure a shapeshifter. And again, like I said in the beginning of this video, I believe that like vampires and werewolves and all that stuff are like real. Or could be. Maybe not that specifically, but I feel like the possibilities are endless. I feel like there's no reason why they couldn't be. I think that's what this is. And I'm glad they ran home and locked the doors. I would be so scared that this thing would like show up at my door later on in the day. Like I would be terrified for the rest of the day. Probably even for like the next week after this. So scary. Like this actually like it makes me feel a little bit like sick, and I have this like tight feeling in my chest because I'm feeling the fear of it if I would have seen that myself. Wow. Our final post of the video is by the user Astrilicuse. The creature that visited me as a kid. Hello, I've gone down a rabbit hole of spooky things recently and figured maybe it would be worth talking about my own odd experience here. I don't really talk about it in my own life because it makes my skin crawl, nor do I post on Reddit, so if I do something wrong here, please let me know. When I was younger, I had a lot of issues with my sleep. I don't remember a whole lot of my childhood, but I know I wouldn't sleep for long periods of time. Frequently bothered my parents in the middle of the night, had reoccurring nightmares, terrors, and would talk in my sleep. I freaked my dad out many times when I'd get up and wait for him to finish whatever he was doing to talk. A 6-year-old girl in a nightgown with long hair hanging over her face was a freaky thing to see at 2 a.m. Anyways, from as far back as I can remember until I was about 8 years old, so roughly 3 or 4 years, I had the same dream every single night. My bed was right under a big window, and I liked to sleep with the curtains partially open so I could look at the moon. It was a 1-story house, and my bedroom was at the front. Every single night, and I'm not exaggerating, I truly mean every single night, I would dream that I woke up to see a humanoid creature outside of my window. It was extremely tall enough that I could see most of the body framed by my window. It had grayish-yellow skin and wore no clothes. Its shoulders reached the very top of my window, and its torso was nearly the whole length of the window, but I could see the tops of its legs towards the bottom. It had its hands pressed into the glass and fingers splayed out. Then the real freaky part. Its neck reached above the window and then looped back down so that its head was visible to the side of its body. It had no hair, massive gray-white eyes, 2 slits for a nose, and a giant grin on its face. And I mean giant. It stretched the skin out on its cheeks and chin, and its teeth were long and jagged and thin, and they were a dirty yellow color. It never did anything, didn't even blink, and just stood there staring at me until I'd wake up in a panic. I saw this creature every night for years. I never told my parents about it. I tried shutting my curtains when I went to bed, but when the dream started, my curtains would be inexplicably open, and then when I woke up, they'd be partially open as if I'd never closed them. Eventually, I told my grandma about the dream when I slept over at her house and didn't have the dream for the first time in years. She gave me this tiny clay figurine and told me to sleep with it by my bedside and I'd never have the bad dream again. I did as she said, and inexplicably, I never did see the creature again. I still had night terrors and reoccurring nightmares, but that specific creature never visited me again. I'm 23 now, and I still sleep with the figurine at my bedside. I've never seen that thing again. I'm an insomniac and have experienced sleep paralysis a number of times in my adulthood, frequently experienced night terrors, and have been prescribed a number of sleep medications that never ended up taking long term because of the side effects. At this point, I'm very good at running on little to no sleep. I've experienced hallucinations during sleep paralysis where I've seen horrible things and had dreams that have left me messed up for days. Still, I have never seen that creature again. The memory of those dreams is the clearest memory of my childhood that I have. I can remember exactly how it looked, exactly how it felt to lay in bed and stare at it between my purple curtains, exactly how silent and still it was. I don't ever open my blinds at night. I don't particularly believe in the supernatural. I take a firm, it's probably not real, but just in case it is, I'm not going to mess with its stance on any of that stuff. I hear paranormal stories and immediately consider all the regular things like sleep deprivation and carbon monoxide poisoning before I assume ghosts. I have never experienced anything paranormal in my life aside from what I've outlined here. I truly 100% believe, however, that this was not a natural thing that happened. I could forgive it as a reoccurring dream or childhood nightmare, but it happened too regularly and far too frequently to think that. I don't know what it was or why, but I really don't think it was something normal or easily explained. So that's my story. I don't talk about it, I try not to think about it, but maybe writing it out will be beneficial. Thank you for reading. Okay, I'm going to show you her doodle of what this creature looked like. And then we have the clay figurine. I really wonder what that clay figurine's supposed to be. It looks kind of like giraffe-ish / dinosaur-ish. Part of me has a feeling that it was some kind of subconscious thing where her grandma gave it to her and then put the dreams to the side, but also at the same time it is so very weird how she said that the curtains, if she'd close them, she'd still wake up and they'd be open. Like, to me, I can't explain that unless she was somehow opening them in her sleep. I could go both ways, that it's just, it was a weird dream in her head and her grandma gave her the figurine as like a placebo to get rid of these dreams. Or it could have been something like kind of attached to her. And I don't know why the figurine would work specifically unless it was like some family thing of like the grandma had those dreams and this figure was given to her, or she made it or something and then passed it down to her granddaughter when she had these dreams. I feel like that's like complicated and unlikely, but you never know with these kinds of things. So I don't know, I feel like it really could go both ways, but either way, it is such an interesting story. And I love the ones where it's like someone doesn't believe in the paranormal, but this specific event, like they really are confident that it is not something normal. So that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I am thrilled to be back in a studio setting and back to like a normal daily routine now that I'm like living in my new space and have most of my stuff unpacked. So very excited about the future and life and Just feeling great. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and I will pop a couple suggestions on the screen for you to watch some more videos of mine if you'd like. Please click the subscribe button down below and turn on post notifications so you would never miss a video. I post every Sunday and sometimes Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. Again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.